The weakest in the world can conquer the strongest in the world. What doesn't exist can infiltrate the realm of nothingness. Therefore, we have come to know the usefulness of non-action. Teaching without using words, the benefit of inaction, the world knows little of it. Have you ever heard this saying? This is a quote from the Chinese philosopher named Laozi, found in his masterpiece, Tao Te Ching, his central philosophical work. Surely those who have followed our previous videos will find it easy to recognize that I have mentioned a concept called non-action, derived from the philosophy of this Chinese philosopher. In practical terms, we can describe non-action as a state of flow, often referred to as the zone for athletes. When an athlete enters the zone, it is the time when they can operate without effort, moving through space and time seemingly effortlessly. There is no extremeness, no worries, no deep contemplation. Everything flows naturally. So what is the flow? The flow is a chain of all actions that occur naturally and continuously, unaffected by desires, past issues, and future expectations. In essence, the philosophy of flow is similar to the Western philosophy of amor fati. However, the idea of non-action in this philosophy contradicts the modern Western belief in pushing harder to achieve big goals. Indeed, in today's modern world, we are encouraged to be ambitious, to seize control in our efforts. Many people adapt to this lifestyle and subsequently suffer from sleep disorders, anxiety disorders, and depression. We underestimate passivity and often confuse it with laziness, but these two are entirely different. When we observe nature, we will find that doing nothing holds much more significance than we think. Many believe that the result we achieve is proportional to the energy we invest. However, in reality, the result comes from a series of actions and is shaped by the frequency emitted by the doer. What's noteworthy here is that among all the actions we need to take, many occur naturally, requiring minimal intervention to stay on the right track. Laozi once likened life to a river. We can choose to let ourselves drift downstream or swim against the current, clinging to a certain branch. If you contemplate and reflect long enough, you will realize that both you and I have chosen to swim against the current for most of the time, without even realizing it. Your mind believes that you can and should control the environment to survive. However, I must reveal to you that this is a mistaken belief. To better understand my assertion, perhaps we should start by delving into the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is a mysterious work of art. Not only is the exact time of its writing disputed, but the very existence of its author sparks much debate. There is no concrete evidence that Laozi was a real person, but if he did indeed exist, he would have lived around the 5th or 6th century BCE, contemporaneously with Confucius. While there are various opinions about the existence of this philosopher and the timing of the creation of the masterpiece Tao Te Ching, one thing I am certain of is that its greatness continues to leave a mark on humanity to this day. Moreover, the Tao Te Ching is one of the most translated literary works, second only to the Bible. At the core of Laozi's philosophy is living in harmony with the Tao, also known as the Way. So what is the Tao? We can never truly answer this question, and even if we attempt to, it would be futile. Our understanding of the Tao is limited to our perception. The Tao, in reality, remains an enigma. Its appearance, sensations, tastes, and sounds are all unknown. Furthermore, according to Laozi's teachings, the Tao we speak of is not the real Tao. Therefore, the famous opening lines of the Tao Te Ching are written as follows. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. So what can humans understand about the Tao? One thing I can assert is that, although we can never grasp the true Tao, we can set a goal to live in harmony with it. This idea is similar to the approach of environmentalism towards nature. So, how can we live in harmony with the Tao? Taoist texts do not explicitly depict a practical method to achieve this harmony. However, we can discern clues pointing toward achieving a tranquil mind, controlling the senses, practicing humility, relinquishing competition, and aligning ourselves with the laws of the universe. Choosing to live in harmony with the Tao is akin to choosing to flow with our current, not resisting the flowing water. By doing so, we align our existence with the natural laws, resulting in less friction and resistance, allowing nature to pave the way. Thus, Laozi's approach is to navigate the river without attempting to control it. An ideal representation of the flow is water. Water has no fixed form, is extremely adaptable, and is exceptionally gentle. It is beneficial to all as it flows, yet it does not contend. Water can be gentle, but it conquers the hard, as evidenced by the saying, "Water wears away stone." A tranquil mind does not necessarily mean closing our eyes and sitting still. Supporters of Taoist philosophy realize that a tranquil mind can coexist with activity. When we wholly immerse ourselves in the present, each action flows effortlessly, and our focus becomes as sharp as a knife. In Taoist works, many stories illustrate the concept of the flow. One such story is about a chef. Initially, when he cut beef, all he saw was a simple piece of meat. But when he embraced the Tao, after 3 years, he no longer perceived it as mere beef. At that point, he didn't cut the beef with his hands, a knife, or the assistance of his eyes. He cut it with his soul. He described that during such moments, his awareness and understanding ceased, while his spirit moved freely. For the chef, he had entered the natural flow, cutting the beef effortlessly. This is the benefit of being in a state of flow. At that moment, we forget about outcomes, pressures, worries about the future, or past mistakes. Letting go of everything is when you truly have everything in your hands. The everything here refers to yourself and what you are doing. If you are an accountant, then everything is you with the financial Excel sheet, an artist with a piece of music, an athlete in a match, a photographer with a scene, a chef with a dish, or a student with countless assignments. The only way to achieve this state is to let go, meaning to stop swimming against the current, to cease clinging to the branches, to release the past, not overthink the future, live in the present, and just be without hesitation. This story ties into the core teaching of Taoism about the power of gentleness. When we force and struggle, we may still accomplish our tasks, but we exert more effort and may endure parallel injuries. Conversely, someone in the state of the flow approaches their work intelligently, knowing when to act and when to pause. Thus, they find the balance between action and inaction. As I've mentioned before, our lives are much like a river. A river has its own currents, and when we find ourselves in one, we can choose to swim against it, cling to a branch, or simply go with the flow. Most people, when posed with the question of whether to swim against the current or go with the flow, firmly choose to go with the flow. However, very few of us realize that in reality, we often try to swim against the current. This action not only fails to yield positive results but also causes harm. What I mean is that we must confront the fact that in this life, there exist things beyond our control. We cannot control bodily processes like digestion, the flow of events, or the body's healing capabilities. We cannot control other people, and we certainly cannot control the future. We cannot even control who we are attracted to and who we find appealing. Always remember that when we enter the state of flow, it is also the moment when we lose self-awareness. However, do not be afraid of this. It's when we channel all our mental energy into what we are doing to the extent that there is no room for self-conception. This state can be likened to the enlightenment of the Buddha, but instead of annihilating the notion of self, the flow strengthens the self, making it more nuanced and complex thanks to expanded skills and awareness, ultimately resulting in an optimal experience. Incorporating the flow into every aspect of life is also a way for us to practice mindfulness and sharpen our intellect. Consequently, individuals become more alert, tranquil, and genuinely focused on what is transpiring, whether it be work, conversations with friends, or heartfelt moments with a significant other. In the state of flow, the distractions of irrational worries and unproductive thoughts are completely eradicated, as this optimal experience grants us full control over our consciousness and actions. As the author puts it, it's about finding purpose in pain, interpreting it as a challenge that one can overcome. The optimal experience also acts as a thread connecting individuals with themselves. Once we've learned to think well, particularly mastering introspective observation, we become less inclined to chase vague goals and fleeting values. The significance of knowing oneself has been understood by thinkers for centuries, such as the great philosopher Socrates, 399 BCE, who believed that knowing oneself is the source of wisdom. Through today's video, we've explored Taoism and the philosophy of flow. If you found the content we shared helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to continue accompanying us on the journey ahead. Thank you for watching our video, and we look forward to meeting you in future videos.